the question for you is, how does Kent explain the ordering of the fossil record? For example, no whales in Cambrian layers.
Well, I would say, first place, there is no such thing as a fossil record. There are fossils, billions of them, possibly trillions. Fossils indicate rapid burial. The bones are still articulated. They didn't get dragged around by the woods, around the woods by the coyotes and the buzzards, etc. So there is no fossil record. It is us putting our interpretation on them. If there's any sorting at all, and it's not a clear sorting like they would like you to believe, I think you would generally find birds on top, because birds are the last ones to drown, and when they drown, they have hollow feathers and bones, and so they're going to float to the top. I think we generally would find clams at the bottom, because clams are already at the bottom when the flood starts, and they have solid shell, and they're heavy, and they can't run very fast. They're going to be the first ones buried. So I think if there's any sorting at all, in some areas there is sort of a sorting. It's based upon body density. It's based upon mobility or intelligence. I think if you Google what is the body density of the average reptile, you'll find it is different than the body density of the average mammal. So they're automatically going to be sorted by density. Hello, that's simple physics 101. Of course, things are sorted by density. So I think if there's any sorting at all, and it's not like they would like you to believe, the fossil record and the geologic column, if there's any semblance to it, it could easily be explained by a Noah's flood. A worldwide flood would answer all of that without a question.
Dr. Hovind wants to respond to that one real quick, and then you can do a quick response to Dr. Kent's question, and then we'll call it a day, gentlemen.
Yeah, I think sediment layers are very easy to explain by a worldwide flood in the days of Noah. You can make sediment layers, make it in a jar in a matter of seconds. I can show it, it can watch it happen. So that's real science. Science is things we can observe, study, and test and demonstrate. I think we could demonstrate with a scientific experiment that animals would automatically sort themselves, dead animals, based on body density, habitat mobility, etc., and that sediment layers can be formed rapidly. There's a video called Experiments in Stratification where they show sediment layers 10 or 15 at a time being deposited horizontally. The atheists are saying the layers on top are younger than the ones on the bottom. I say, you got to be kidding. If this one's younger, did it come from outer space? How can any layer possibly be younger than any other layer unless it came from outer space? All the layers are the same age. They were just reshuffled at the time of Noah's flood, but they don't want to believe in the flood. Peter hit it right on the head. They're willingly ignorant of the creation and the flood because it represents the judgment of God. So I don't think there's no such thing as a fossil record. The sediment layers all formed during Noah's flood. They're all the same age. And petrified trees in the vertical position are proof of that. And I show that some other time. Go ahead.
I just want a quick word on your density decides where something lands in the layers. I looked up earlier today spiders, and you have Sicariidae, which is found in the Neogene strata, which is some of the top layers of rocks. You also get spiders Aterocopus, found in Devonian strata, which are much, much further down. This alone is a clear contradiction to your idea that everything is sorted by density, because they're both spiders.
Well, I can answer that very simply. During the flood, there would be areas that would be inundated for a while, and then if the crust of the earth flexes up and down, like it would normally, then that layer may be up and exposed and dry out, and then it goes down, and new layers are put on top. If all of the strata were formed at the same time, you would be correct. I said all of the strata were formed in the same flood. That flood could deposit things where you'd get the denser object stuck in the top because it was during the last part of the flood that it finally got settled there. I think it's very easy to explain how things could be out of order based upon a flood lasting a year and the crust of the earth flexing up and down. So right here in our gravel pit, we have 5 layers of gravel, clay, gravel, clay, gravel, clay. You guys saw them today. That would be formed by each tide. Each tide coming in would form a layer of gravel. And then during high tide, when it sits still, small stuff settles out and makes a layer of clay. You can Google stratification, and you'll see it all over the world. Let's see, 264. We have the little thing made out of sand right here. You flip it over, and it makes multiple layers in a matter of a minute. This doesn't take a long time. These little sand toys, you can buy them at, I don't know if you have Walmart in England, but they make multiple strata very rapidly. So there's no such thing as a geologic column. It's one of the dumbest ideas we've ever taught to kids. I taught earth science 15 years. There is no geologic column. The stratification would be because of Noah's flood, And there may end up being some layers on top, just like these two densities of sand, blue and yellow, blue and white. They're going to sort into multiple layers. Here, the black and the white are different densities, but it doesn't just all be black at the bottom and white on top. It has to do with how the water moves around.